Why am I doing this? Why am I taking random pieces of wood, random shapes, painting them random colors, gluing them on top of each other in random places? The shapes don't go together, the colors don't go together. This isn't some kind of carefully constructed and thought out and obsessed over design. This is gluing things on top of things that shouldn't go where those other things go. And I just keep doing it, and I'm doing it obsessively day after day. And then I'm taking these crazy things and giving them out to people and saying, here, you want this. This is art, and you want this. What am I doing? Have you ever watched young kids playing with Legos? Like really young kids, like under the age of 6. They don't sit there and try to create a cathedral or a perfectly formed spaceship. They are thoroughly excited with the idea that one block sticks to another block, and that 2 blocks stick to 3 more blocks, and that they themselves put these blocks together and the colors don't match, and the shape is not anything specific. It doesn't even look like a house when they're done, or it doesn't even look like a nice square or a nice cube. Sometimes it's just random chaos, but their blocks stuck together, and neural pathways are forming in their brains as they're enjoying the tactile feel of the blocks and understanding how to press them together. More so, they're proud of their creation. They're proud that they made something that didn't exist before. Nobody ever put those Lego blocks together in the pattern that they just did. And they will show it to their parents and be very proud of themselves. And that is a pure, innocent joy that you should never lose. And yet we have years and years and years of conditioning of being told we're wrong by so many people, and then we tell ourselves we're wrong. So when we go to make something creative that should be fun and delightful and pure joy, it's 99% self-judgment, correction, sometimes complete paralyzation of our ability to even take the next step, to put the next brushstroke down, or to decide what color to even use next. I stick these random pieces together and I just keep going and going because it's fun. And you know what? 97% of these things might come out looking like just nonsense, but as I do it, I start to enjoy which colors go with which colors. And you know what? There are some colors I would have never put with other colors if I planned it out. But when I do it, it opens up whole new areas. I now have favorite color blends that I never would have imagined would have worked. Things that go against what people might say is color theory, or how you're supposed to combine colors on the color wheel. Don't even get me started on shapes. Shapes in 2 dimensions, but more so shapes in 3 dimensions. It used to be, there was wall art, which was always flat and always in rectangles. Every frame was a rectangle or square of some sort with 4 corners, 4 perfectly 90-degree right angles, and that's it, and a perfect frame. And then there was sculpture. Sculptures could be anything, but people didn't pay as much for sculptures because only the very rich could afford a whole room dedicated to much larger pieces that are like the size of furniture. Whereas wall art, everybody had space for wall art. It was easier to transport, it was lighter weight, it was easier for the artist to produce many of them so they could get better faster. Well, I'm changing that. I'm making 3D wall art, so I'm combining the sculpture and the painting. But more so, I want all of you who like to be creative, who are watching this because deep down inside you feel like creativity feeds you, to get off of your easy chair, get out of bed, get off the couch, and go sit down at a table and start painting something and start gluing random things together. And do it over and over and over again. My 7-year-old nephew, when he was younger, when he was about 3 and he was first learning how to use his fingers and hands, his older sister would draw stick figures with smiley faces and cute hair and cute little cat faces with triangle ears, and he would try to copy her, and he wouldn't be able to do it as well as her, and he would get frustrated and scribble out his drawing right next to hers because he couldn't make it look half as good as hers, and it was very frustrating for him. And we were worried that, this might stunt his whatever love he might have for art, and we're a very artistic family. Come to find out, just a couple years later, Because then he went on to other hobbies. He started collecting bugs. He had fearlessly would pick up ants and worms and beetles and everything under the sun. And then he went from collecting bugs to collecting shells. And then he went from collecting shells to collecting different types of little stones. And then he took a break and he did the normal kid thing and was collecting Pokemon cards. But then he got back into drawing, and he was only a couple years older, but now he could control the marker and the pen much better with his little fingers. And the collecting of the Pokemon cards mixed in with his desire to draw, mixed in with all the other things he had done that fed his little brain over the next couple years, combined, and he started drawing what he called My Little Monsters. Little creative animals that had wild, random claws and scales and horns and multiple legs and multiple strange joints and multiple eyes. And he didn't just make one or two of them a day. He would sit down and make literally 40 of them. He would fill up 7 pages with like 10 of them per page. And then he would cut them out. And then my dad, his grandfather, would let him paste them all over the wall on certain walls in the house. And he would color some of them in. And he would just mass produce what he called his little monsters. Just mass produce them. And they were so creative and so interesting. And it filled him with so much happiness. And that's what I want for you, Mr. 62-year-old, Mrs. 76-year-old, whoever you are, whether you're 49 or 32 or whatever. I want you to sit there with exuberant joy and mass produce some silly art, some randomness, some stuff. Maybe take a whole bunch of 3x5 cards and make your own postcards to send to everybody for the next holidays. And just start out just putting random shapes and colors on them. Maybe do what I do and take scrap pieces of wood and get yourself a little bit of sanding. You don't even need fancy, expensive sanding tools. Just get yourself some sandpaper and just sand the edges so there's no splinters or sharp edges. And then just take some paint from the dollar store and just start painting these pieces of wood and hand them out to people as free gifts. Or go buy little canvases in bulk where you can get them for $2-3 a piece. If you buy like 40 canvases in a big bulk set and just sit there and just start throwing the paint on the canvas and then line them up against your wall and then go back and add more paint or add a drawing on top of the background of the paint you did, whatever. This channel started out very heavily as a jewelry making channel. So I would challenge you, go and get some beads and put them in a weird combination that you've never put beads before. Put some colors of beads together you never would have thought. Put some round beads with long beads with square beads in a way that just kind of irritates you because it just doesn't look right. And then put some more little beads in between until it looks so funky and fun, and be a little daring and make a bracelet that looks like no other bracelet that anybody has ever made. Or make some crazy earrings that just look like space age alien stuff from some sci-fi movie that you've never seen anybody wearing before on the street. But more so than just doing it is do it 100 times, do it 700 times. Make this stuff to your heart's delight. Don't take 1 second to judge yourself or slow yourself down or tell yourself, oh, this could be better. I need more training. I need help. I'm going to put it down. Every second you are creating, you're making your brain waves more complex. You're making your brain synapses and structures and the connections between brain cells stronger. You are enforcing your brain's ability to fight off things like dementia and Alzheimer's. You are filling your life with little bits of joy that you can't get from passively observing life. You can't get this kind of joy from watching a television show. Your favorite show in the world might give you some joy, but it's a different kind of joy. There's nothing that can replace the joy of creating something with your own hands and putting it into the world, and without judging yourself, putting it on a wall, putting it on a table, giving it away to a friend. I have a lot of videos about how to sell stuff, but selling is so hard. Selling is a completely different art, and selling takes years and years of practice. And maybe you want to get into selling, and that's exciting too, but you don't need to be good at selling. Make amazing stuff and give it away for free, and you will feel so good. Give it away, and people who get stuff for free, they'll be so excited they didn't spend anything. They'll feel special. They'll put it on their desk at work. They'll put it on their dresser at home. They'll put it on their coffee table when friends come over. They'll tell people about you. And who knows, maybe you'll get some commissions. They'll wear your earrings, they'll wear your necklace. The least they can do to say thanks is to wear it at least once. And I bet you if you make some really unusual things, I bet you they'll get some compliments. People are going to compliment jewelry more so if it's weird and different than if it's super beautiful. Because the world is filled with people wearing super beautiful stuff. There are multi-billion dollar companies pumping out beautiful stuff that everybody is buying and consuming and wearing. But when you see something weird, it catches your eye, and that is where people start to make comments and say, whoa, what is that? And usually something novel and exciting is not going to get an insult. It's going to get a compliment. Even if it's not something they would wear, even if it's a little too brave for them, they're going to be interested in something new and different. People love new and different much more than they love perfect beauty. Perfect beauty has been around forever. The definitions change. Everybody has their own little version of it, but perfect beauty is something people enjoy for a minute, but it starts to lose its appeal after a while. But new and different always excites people, because it tells people there's way more out there than I thought there was. There's new stuff to discover. There's new feelings and motions and sights and sounds and thrilling adventure that I don't even know about yet. Your earrings can evoke those emotions in people, that there's hope, that life isn't mundane, that I haven't already tried everything and given up, that there's stuff out there I haven't thought of. All of this because you're not afraid to sit there and stick some shapes on top of shapes and colors on top of colors and weird patterns on top of weird patterns and just keep going and going and going and going and going with no judgment till your whole room is filled with cluttered, colored blocks and shapes glued to other colored, cluttered blocks and shapes. Be part of the art revolution. Make a ton of creative things and give them to people for free. And watch how exciting your life will become.